slap like now, share right now, and subscribe to this channel at the link below.
Like, okay, here's like a typical coffee with current question. Okay, if you want your song, one of I just saw your look.
Go on, Karan.
So like, if your song, one of your songs could feature in one of the Bollywood movie, which Tamil hero would you want it to sing like?
Tamil hero.
Yeah, Tamil hero.
Power Star.
Why Power Star, man?
Yeah. Okay. Power Star. Why not? See, if I choose Vijay, Ajit fans will beat me up. If I choose Ajit, Vijay fans will beat me up. If I choose Surya, everybody will beat me up. Then, if I choose Simbu, he will beat me up. If I choose Dhanush, Rajinikanth will beat me up. If I choose Kamal will beat me up. If I use Kamal, Modi will beat me up. So,
I like how it ended on Modi.
Power Star only. Straight Power Star only I can. He's a very solid character. So I think I'm definitely a Power Star.
Like I'll Photoshop your face, Power Star photo on your face, and I'll say, okay, this is how...
You don't need to Photoshop also. Put some glasses, put that beard, and it's there already.
Oh man, like now I can just imagine what, like, I know how fun you and Tapas are together. I remember you guys bullying that poor guy, indie music scene guy.
Indian music guys.
Like that guy was Bichara, he was standing, he was asking, okay, what do you think? And he was like, oh, you mean
He's
you
very
don't
sweet.
like this band, huh? You mean to say they're not good, huh? I was like, oh wow.
See, I'll tell you what happened. Nobody's taking us seriously. That time only that Divine was having a somebody challenge design in a Kiki challenge. Like that guy did a Kiki rap. So he got out of the car and walked, and then he did one rap. And it was apparently a very serious diss track to Divine. And he gave 70s. You get back to me, or 70s. So I was like, hey man, and that was being shared and people were talking about it and all. So I was like, hey, rivalry. We need some rivalry. Otherwise, we are a very boring band. Everybody, you can't like everybody or be chill or be everybody's friend.
Okay.
You need a battle. So we decided that we'll just choose randomly some bands and fight with them. And preferably bands we know already so that we can call them how to fight back with us. So
Okay.
don't.
So did you fight back? Did you get the fight back?
Oh, see, that's the problem. Nobody fights in who takes a rock band seriously. A rock band will come and say something stupid, means they'll be like, ha, shut up. And that's about it. Whereas if your rap guy says something, then suddenly Republic TV has a problem. If anybody wants to not be on Republic TV or be on any news channel or be caught or be shared, be a rock band. By mistake also they won't give you TRP. By mistake also they won't give you any kind of like promotion.
Okay, let's try this now. So here's my next question to you. One band that you absolutely hate.
No break. I Chick is a part of. What do you mean by asking what he asked? His favorite band in Chennai is RJD, it seems. Shatta LF. What does that mean? So therefore, Chick is only my problem. Come on, Chick, that's a diss track.
We screwed it up, dude. We screwed it up.
See, don't take a freaking rock band seriously, dude. Nobody will take it seriously. He will not take it seriously. Very irritating.
When I was talking to you, I went through your Instagram and stuff, and there, one of the photos you said recently, I think, when you posted with Tapas from your Poonal and his marriage.
His wedding, yeah, correct.
So the old picture, you with just your belly showing with a towel.
Back in the day when before we knew what we were doing. that was way before any of this music
Really?
thing started. Yeah. This was
Are you
real.
guys related, you and Tapas?
We've been classmates since first standard, first grade.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've known Janu since I was in the 9th grade, and he came in the 11th. He was in the 11th grade, and he came in to play guitar. So he was one of the few people I saw play guitar before I started playing.
Your inspiration.
Yeah, now I make him play bass.
So that's where the revenge comes into the picture. You inspired me. Now I learned, but I cannot give up now, right? You are the reason I'm playing.
Inspire me. Who was to inspire me to play guitar? You play bass.
Once your album gets out, now do let me know. I want to get Tapas, and Tapas will be because I saw his interviews and he's he's a scary guy to talk to.
Oh, he's very sharp. He's very sharp. So he'll just be listening, he'll listen, and then he'll bite your head off, and then he'll listen, and then he'll go, and then he'll bite it and be like, get lost.
There's no head to bite off again.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then Janu will also be silent, but he will sort of give you punch-ending dialogues, and you can't say anything after that.
What do you hate about Janu, and what do you hate about Tapas?
I hate about Janu. Please come to bloody practice on time. I mean, Janu standard time. That's probably the most irritating thing about Janu. I think it's the only thing I don't like about Janu, or it's the only thing that even irritates me slightly about Janu is the fact that he'll say, I'm coming, bro, and then he'll say Mallar Hospital, which is close to my house, but he won't be at Mallar Hospital. He'll be leaving from his house only that time. So he'll be like, man, I know you're not in Mallar Hospital, keep quiet. So... And then I think the one thing I hate about Tapas is, this is very, very interesting. We used to fight a lot in school and punch each other and all that. So a lot, like actually hit each other. So but he'll use body weight when fighting. Okay, and I try and use technique, and he'll be like, screw that, and then he'll come like, and then he'll whack you.
I asked you, what do you hate? You telling me 9th standard stories where you used to hit me, eh?
9th standard, I'll go with black eye, we broke chip tooth and all because of him.
So you're hating him for that now, eh?
Yeah, I'll continue to hate him for that for the rest of my life. What nonsense that those scars don't fade, those wounds don't heal. What do you mean?
Any idea, any ETA for the next album that you're targeting?
I think no, I'm not gonna say anything because I want us to like come back and sort of get together. Probably, I think if things get okay and we are able to meet soon, then probably next year we'll be working on the album. So we should get it. Say beginning of next year we'll be working on the album. So maybe through that you might get what the next few songs.
Next question on that point. Say if my viewer wants to get an idea about where do you are most active about your upcoming gigs, or for that matter your new releases?
Instagram and Facebook. Twitter will only be sharing things like songs.
Okay.
This happening now, and the same Instagram post will be just shared on Twitter. That's the only way we are going to share on Twitter.
Do you think music scene will ever become serious? Apart from the commercial one, of course.
I don't think the commercial one's also very serious. I think music has to firstly mature a little bit. We don't know anything yet. Everything's a little... So indie scene has grown ridiculously. They've blasted forward as far as things that you'd listen to. Even English songs back in the 90s would be considered, oh, you listen to English music. Now it's like, oh, you listen to indie music, like these obscure artists. I'm just like, wow, that's a huge step that we've already taken. That we've gone from thinking a mainstream rock act or a mainstream act in the 90s when we were growing up, 90s and 2000s, we'd be like, oh my God, this is the kind of music we want to listen to. And then now in the 2020s, 10s and 20s, we are searching for new artists that are obscure, and that is what... other indie artists coming up and everything like that. I feel music is growing and we just need to wait for the scene to mature. But It's the population, no, has to sort of also listen to something slightly like this. Like, even if they listen to mildly something like Scrat, then when they listen to Scrat, they will find some familiarity or connect. So I think there needs to be enough indie music in India, enough of it, lots more of it, lot more people doing it for it to become known that it even exists.
But
So only
the
then,
thing is,
after that, yeah.
the thing is, to get that kind of reach, you have to, I think, inevitably get into the commercial space one. Because
So that's the thing. I have an argument on that. You are not trying to sell chips, right? If you're selling chips, that means I put money on it, we put it onto ads, we get it, this thing, we do these promotions, we put whatever, and then you get that kind of reach. That doesn't work that way as far as music is concerned. Because indie music, as soon as it goes to commercial, it no longer indie music.
makes sense.
Okay, it is no longer indie music, right? It doesn't matter if you're using indie sensibilities in commercial music, then it's no longer, that's the only thing you're doing. But that's just the music. You can use those sensibilities in anything. You can use rock riffs in rap. You can use pop riff beats in rock music, like how we do. And it's, when you use it in commercial context, it becomes commercial music. If you use it in indie contest, it will become indie music. The point is, people should understand the general population to an extent. We're not talking about everybody. We're talking about at least the people who speak English. Let's say, do everybody who speak English know that this thing exists? No, of course not. Right? We're talking about not many people. Enough people should do it, because then their friends will know this exists. Enough people should do it, and that's been happening, honestly. Like, I remember when you could count the amount of bands in a city, right? Amount of artists in the city. And back in the 90s, there used to be bands, never artists also separately and all that.
Bands.
Now you've got so much. You've got artists, you've got bands, you've got electronic artists, you've got jazz musicians, you've got ensembles, you've got many things. You've got a cappella groups that are actually taking it a little bit more seriously than just singing covers online. You know, they're actually writing, and they're coming up with new stuff, and they're sort of, what they're doing is they're going forward in their scene. They're taking the music and making something new, instead of just doing a cover and then sorting it out. You know, that is something that needs to change, and that will come only with enough people playing music. So if you start playing music tomorrow, your friends are going to know immediately, right? Your friends are going to know that you're doing it. Then, because of you, 3 people might pick up the instrument, and then their friends will start to seeing it. And only that you'll realize, word of mouth and the fact that people even know that something like this exists, right? That is something that is really important. That the availability and the accessibility for the music to happen. People, only then will people listen to it twice, thrice. Now, if they listen to indie music, at least 10 indie songs, it'll take them 10 indie songs minimum to even start considering it a thing that they would like to search for.
Right.
Yeah, you need minimum of 10 indie songs that are made here. And that has to be also varied. They need to listen to a varied style of music. Most people who listen to indie music will not say, I only like rock music. They'll listen to a huge variety of music. How many people even listen to a variety of music?
No.
Like, nobody listens to it.
They have a genre, they follow a particular genre. And
mildly, too. Like, nobody, most metal fans that I know will never come and say, I only listen to metal. It's not possible. Like, there's no chance. But if you go to a pop fan, they'll only listen to top 40.
Right.
They don't listen to anything else other than that. And if you go to a rap fan, a hip hop fan, I only listen to hip hop. That'll happen. But you'll never hear a singer-songwriter that says, I only listen to singer-songwriter music. Like, it's not possible. Everybody listens to rap and pop and hip-hop and rock and stuff like that. So,
but considering that, what do you think will be the epitome of indie music? Something like what comedy scene is as of now? Like, you have got your name as a household name. Everyone, at least in the city, like for every city wherever who is speaking English or speaking Hindi for that content, they are hearing, and whenever there is a gig, people go and watch them. So is that what you consider the epitome for indie music?
I think indie music still belongs live.
Belongs live.
Like it still belongs live. I mean, it should start belonging in recordings as well, and studio and albums as well. And it's definitely now growing. There's a lot of people listening to Indian-based albums nowadays. Like our albums are being listened to and stuff like that, but it's still live. Like a lot of the scratch listeners who come, they listen to our music live.
I agree. I am one of the evident.
Yeah, so they come, they like us live, and then once in a while, if they have not listened to us live for a long time, they listen to our recording just for maybe a thing or whatever. But it's never
to the point. When you said album, doesn't that releasing an album, you're going to a producer? You proper albums when you're talking. In like you much like let's take the reality. You release a DIY recorded album on your YouTube, on a Spotify. It is buried under lakhs of songs that are being uploaded on Spotify and YouTube on a daily basis.
Yeah. So that's the thing, So Spotify and Apple Music are good because when we grew up, there were so many people trying to make music. There are some 5 million bands in the world, right? And we were trying to make music, and everybody can record now. Like, okay, back then we couldn't even record, and all we wanted was people to listen to our music. All we wanted was people to listen to our music, and that was the major chunk of musicians and kids coming up in music, right? Only after we made it our job, right, when it became our career, which is past coming into adulthood, full on, like when we decided to make it a job, is when we started seeking monetary benefits from the music we make. Then that's when you have to figure out what is the current situation in India. Are there people going to, okay, let's say everybody's complaining Spotify is not paying people. Yeah. What did you think is going to happen? Like at the beginning, we were, everybody who's complaining about it now are not people who bought albums. Back in the 2000s, when there was no Apple Music, Spotify, they did LimeWire downloads. Okay, they downloaded, they ripped it off, and they were actual piracy. All of us did it. Like it was the only way to music, because otherwise I'll have to go to Landmark and buy a CD. Half the music we want, again, not available at Landmark. Like I can't go and find myself a Hives record, or I was searching for something slightly not mainstream. Even though Hives is a really, really famous band, you won't find their music. So I remember going and searching for all of these things. You'd get your usual Bon Jovi, Bryan Adams, and stuff like that, but you'd never get the music that you'd actually want to listen to, especially metal albums. Where I would go find metal albums in shops, so you can't get it. And there was no way of buying. Now it's easy to buy online. You can go, if you really like an artist, you can be like, hey man, can you just go and buy it off of Bandcamp instead? Or if you can buy it off of our website. So people will now, what they start doing is, I feel that people are going to have their Spotify and Apple Music running. And then the ones they want to support, the ones they see that they're listening to a lot, they'll actually go buy the album. It has to come from the customer. It cannot be forced on them. Like if with technology, you cannot curb information now. You can't curb data anymore. Nobody can do that. So the only guys who are able to do it properly is games. But that's also because the console is very important for the gaming. But there is no such device that they have a control over for music to happen. It's not like if you play a pirated track, the phone won't play it. It'll play it. Right?
Adding to what you said, that's an important point. Like Veerdas only said this. What people see you online on a YouTube video or any content that you put online, your life should be better than it. your content should leave them asking for more. That, like what I felt when I heard you guys, or for that matter Tales on Fire, I went on to look out, okay, where can I find a number, and I found Karan's number and called him. Now do you think the same thing can be applied, and not just a thought probably, that maybe not release your entire songs online, release a partial song probably?
So that makes a lot of sense. Now this only thing is, you cannot engineer a vacuum. A comedian can, right? Because he's got skits coming out of his ears, and every time it's going to be a new set. It's not going to be like there's some things you do live and then everybody will laugh. If you're just going to put everything online and then go do that as a comic skit, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
But music is different. Music is different. You listen to music and you go to a show, you'd want to hear that song, but that performance of that song live should be better than what you've put out in the recording.
But isn't it exactly opposite now?
So that's the thing, right? Like, so what should, for us, we have a problem where our live concerts, when you watch us live, not live bootleg, right? When you are there and you're watching us live in that room, it sounds better than the album. Like it's not sounds better, it's a better experience than the album.
No, but that's fine. But my question is,
yeah,
the whole agenda of what you have put out online, your life should be better than that. All the bands, all the musicians, all the guys that are creating music, they are targeting that this is the perfect version that they're putting out, and it is so well done with all the mixing and the mastering. Up to a certain point, I feel you cannot.
They're not able to pull it off live.
Yeah.
Okay, this makes sense because I remember speaking with Vishal Dadlani once, and I was complaining because I wanted his advice. I was like, listen, by the way, because it's very rare to find a sort of a rock/pop frontman who you can sort of who you think will have this similar thought process to kind of like process the things that he has faced. And he's an indie boy. He's come from Pentagram, and he brought Pentagram up, and only then Vishal Shekhar. So one of the biggest questions I had asked him was, I have a problem. I don't know how to record properly. I think the sound engineer, Toby, our sound engineer, does a great job, but inherently we as musicians are the problem. Like, we don't know what to do, but when we play live, we're able to play differently. Then that's when Vishal Dadlani said, thank God you don't have the opposite problem. That's all he said. He's like, just thank the heavens that you don't have the opposite issue. Like, I'm just like, our albums are lukewarm. It just dies, right? It's okay. It sounds good. It sounds tight, but it doesn't have that punch that the live has, which is also unfair of me to sort of hit on the recording, because again, live, you've got a wall of sound, you've got speakers, you've got amps, you've got the drum set there, you have everybody who's jumping. The idea of being, it's like a big Zumba class. So it is, the idea of the live concert itself is very different from what we do in the album. So trying to recreate it is going to be very difficult, but I know where you're coming from. I know what you're saying. You're saying people who overproduce online and release their albums and then don't know how to do it on live.
True, because a lot of bands, they're a 4-piece band, they'll add a string
track at the back.
They add a track.
That's
and that, no doubt, it expands the song to multiple directions, and the sound is definitely better. It sounds way better.
Yeah.
But now, as an audience, if I go and watch them live, there is definitely something missing.
Yeah, okay. I can understand that. I think of it again comes with the amount of time the bands would spend preparing for that live show. Like, you can record a certain way, right? You record it with layers, you record it with harmonies, you record it with everything. Then when you jam, you should understand that you don't have all of that. Yeah, you might have a track playing at the back, okay, which is okay. A lot of people do it now. It's the new thing. But you're all always on click, which is okay again. But you should play that on click in the jam room for a month. Figure it out. Hear if you like it. See if you like it. I think what people are doing is they work until they can pull off the song live and then they go live. I think they should work until they nail it live and then they go live. Now, Scrap, we have an issue. We don't go click, we don't go tracks, we don't go anything, which is very strange to say, but now we are in 2020. So, because back in the day, nobody went with click, nobody went with track, nobody went with anything. So now this is the case. But if this is how we're going to go, we have to be able to practice. So we will sit together and play on and on and on and on and on, saying that we gotta keep playing live. We have to practice it regardless, which is another rule that Scratch sort of has. Is this is something we had from the beginning when we started off. Was we started off as musicians very late. I learned guitar when I was 18 years old, 17 years old. So, Tapas was playing the drums, Mridangam before he was playing. So he started playing the drums when he was about 14, 15 only. And Janu started playing bass in 2012.
Oh.
So
he was guitarist.
Yeah, he's a guitarist before. So when we, as musicians, we started late. And because of that, we had that mentality to say before every show, if we don't practice for 5 days minimum, we need 5 practice sessions. So we do, which has to include at least 2 rehearsal sessions. So you don't practice at rehearsal and you don't rehearse at practice. So you just, when your practice session, your writing session, all of that is to hone your hands and hone our thing and make mistakes and try and find what's right and all that, right? And then you have your rehearsal sessions where we go and we're like, come on, again, play the song again, play the song again, play the song again, play the song again. Because by then, if it doesn't become muscle memory, we can't jump around on stage. If it doesn't become muscle memory, if something something goes wrong, you can't really fix it. And your song, the way you sing it, will change. And it's okay, live. And that's what will fill the gaps that you're finding. If you sing it just like the album, it'll feel empty on stage.
True.
But if you sing it slightly differently, that's why, if you take a bootleg of Scrat live, like people will come and be like, dude, this show was mad, it was so great. And then I'll take on the phone videos, it'll sound decent. Then if I take a bootleg from the mixer, it'll sound like, gosh, we're playing some absolute garbage. So we're like, oh my God, what the hell did we do? And how was it sounding good? But that's what happens. Your room, your amp, the air that's moving, the people there screaming your song, that is what the experience.
It's true, because, and this is very important because a lot of bands, they don't consider themselves as entertainers. They don't look into the entertainment factor at all. They are like, no, this is my music, this is extremely important. Yeah, for you are composed different, but as an audience, when I'm there, I am here to have a good time. Like you said, don't lecture me. Don't lecture me with your lyrics.
I think what you're saying is that people take themselves so seriously that it starts to become a little bit like a school teacher session. It becomes more of a, which is true, which is something that I've always had a little bit. I'm okay. I think I know that a lot of bands do it, and that's how people generally write openingly itself. Like as soon as you start writing, putting yourself above everybody else. As far as if you're a rock band, otherwise you're complaining about something, But at the end of the day, it's very serious.
It's very serious,
right? It's very serious. Now, that same serious topic can be approached with a little bit of flavor, right? Like you can put a little bit of flavor to it, and instead of talking to a person, so most of the people will be like, you get the government comes and it'll be like very, very lyrics that just says like, yeah, the government's coming and screwing us. Fuck you, government. Bye bye. And then, like, firstly, you're just like, okay, I've heard this in every album of every band before. Like you know that's you gotta slowly you gotta
Whole
put it in.
revolution. I will break the system and all. It will comes out. Everyone has that.
Everyone's got it. Now the point is, do you want to be a person who's just holding up a sign, or do you want to be a person going and talking and conversing and making that change happen? That means, like, if you hold up a sign at a street corner, people will read the sign, agree with you and keep going, or they'll read the sign, disagree with you and keep going. That's what happens if you yell at someone from the stage. Whereas if you get them to think and get them to indulge in a back and forth, then, which means you need to get them to sing your song back to you.
That's when the conversation happens.
That's when the conversation happens. And when you get them to go, yippee-ki-yay, and we blow shit up until you take me to the top just to say I love you. It's a thing that they decided to say, and then they're saying it, and at the end of it, they're like, what does this mean? Okay, it's this yippee-ki-yay, she blows shit up until she goes to the top, and then she says I love you. It'll get you to think, and it'll get you to understand that it's not, the subtle things behind it, saying that, yeah, it's not about fighting, it's about getting things done, and certain things that needs to be, there's a lot of like inherent messaging that you can put, but you don't need it to be like
This discussion I also had like
a preacher,
right?
Like a preacher. You shall not sin. I'm just like, hey, நீ யாரா என்கிட்ட சொல்றது நான் sin பண்ணுவேன், win பண்ணுவேன், என்ன பண்ணுவேன்.
But this is true what you're saying, because a lot of bands, at least in terms of metal bands that I've seen, for that matter even when I was performing, like, this is a riff, so I will headbang, because that's what metalheads do. If I'm a performer, I'm performing stage and this is a cool riff, I could have jumped and it would have felt much better for me, but no. Metalheads headbang, so I will headbang.
Is it like that though? Because I don't know, some of the nice no metal, I told you, like, metal fans are not just going to go listen to metal music, like they go and they listen to a lot of things.
No, I'm talking about a performer perspective, not an audience.
Right, that correct. Absolutely. No, that I agree, because if you headbang, firstly, your the idea of a headbang is okay. Now it's a lot better, but early 2010s, headbanging crowd means you lose half the crowd. They go after the smoking room. But now it's a little better. Actually, the last few years we have had everybody just doing whatever they wanted to do. So you'll have one headbanging crew in front, and then you will have the jumpers at the back, because jumpers don't need to be in front to jump. And then you have the people who are running about.
The mosh pit guys.
Yeah. In Delhi, there was one, was it Delhi? I think I remember there was a group that landed up with Fitbits, with fitness watches, and then they were all like ready, and then they just started jumping around like mad during the entire show, and then they calculated the amount of calories they burned. So it was good
That
fun.
would have been a great way, man. You want a great workout, go to a metal show.
Go to a metal show, or go to a hard rock show. Actually, you go to any show. Even if you're going to be singing with an acoustic guitar or a ukulele, right? You should. It's not about, if you're having fun, you will entertain the audience.
Makes sense.
That's all it is. You cannot think of entertaining the audience. You can't say, I'm going to do this now so that the audience can do this. That'll never happen, right? Like, the parts where I get the people to sing in the crowd were originally parts where I was singing. And then usually at that point, we realize they're singing. So at the live show, we extend that bit and have them sing instead, But it's never to say, I'm going to stop now, ask the crowd to go, yeah, back, do this. Nah, can't work, because the crowd that's coming to you is a crowd that isn't just there. They have found out who you are. They've listened to your stuff. Their friends have said, you need to see these guys. They are intelligent, fully aware audience. You start throwing change at them, they're not going to like it. Right? They're not going to be, they're like, dude, don't patronize me. Like, don't either yell at me, don't patronize me, they don't want to do that. Like, that's a really weird thing. Instead, you need to sort of get them to do it on their own. It has to be natural. There's no way of telling you how to do it. It's a hit or miss. Some songs people sing, some songs people won't sing, some songs people just go mad. And if you're playing a nice sit down quartet set or something like that, the vibe is different. But the emotion has to come out. Like, you have to give that emotion out. You have to. If you're in a metal band, I want to feel like you guys are gods. Like,
right.
That's the point. Like, you should be sort of celestial. You should be like freaking actual titans. And then, not by look or character or anything, but just anything. Like, even if you see Chaos, right? Chaos is a great band to even start off with. They're not what you call, they have a great stage act, but it's not on the nose. It's not this, I'm going to do these 5,000 things that people have to do when you're on a stage act. No, they focus on their playing, but they enjoy the crap out of it. In their heads, they're in the jam room, right? Yeah, that's it. They go mad, and they are playing it as though they're playing a cover of their favorite song.
Oh, right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That's how I see it, and they just nail it. Manu is so, like, he closes his eyes and he'll just play, like, precise, freaking like almost like a computer, but incredibly natural and analog.
Like a badass samurai. Perfect.
Yeah, he's damn good. Like, Manu's really, really good. And then everybody, when the guitars come in very, very heavy, and he's got that Dimebag guitar also, okay, which is insane, and it sits so low on him, and because of that, he's got a stance. And whatever happens, there's presence on stage. I can feel the presence. Like, I can really feel it. Then you have a lot of other bands that will come there and go, and then you're like, you yourself are not enjoying it. Like, you can tell that the band isn't enjoying it.
Yeah. There is this pressure, okay, like, you have to play it perfect. I cannot mess up my solo.
No, that's all right. That's absolutely okay. Because it's better to stand in one place and play than forcibly move around. You can't force yourself to move around.
But right? I think I have a point on this. Like, a lot of bands today, or for that matter, rock or metal bands, they inevitably are performing only at competitions.
Yeah.
So in other terms, they are under that pressure. Will they give me marks on performance, or will they give me marks
on something? Band competitions is the single most the only thing it's useful for is to get money or your first demo recording money.
That's all.
That's the only thing it's meant for. It's meant for bands to go and do 2 competitions in their lifetime, 3 maybe, just to get some kind of, see, you can't keep playing, and for years they'll be playing in competitions because there's no other place to play. But you'll see, we played from 2006 to 2012, Scrat played every single competition we could find because it's the only place you could play. There was no gigs other than Unwind Center. Pubs used to ask us for covers and we didn't know any. So that was the biggest problem. And what happens then? A competition, you go there, firstly, no setup, no sound check, you sound like shit. Secondly, you have to make that song quick. It has to have all the elements that would give you the opportunity to get marks in those things. Originality, tightness, stage presence, all this. How the hell? What do you mean by originality? Who are you to say what I'm doing is original or not? Like, how are you going to like quantify that? Tightness, okay, I can understand you talking about tightness. But what if you're in a blues band?
Uh,
You never win anything. Because the song doesn't have any gymnastics for you to do any like twirls in. So competitions became competition bands became competition bands. They'll play competition bands. They'll only play competitions. And we had to break through that. We sounded like shit when we played competitions. And we won nothing. We played every single competition. We won nothing.
Really?
We've won nothing. None. I think we won VAT or something one year by mistake. And that's it.
Did you have some link with the judges there?
Absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah. We won one. CRI, Campus Rock Idols, we won some regional and then South Zone second or something. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's it. We haven't won. We haven't been successful at all.
I'd like to take this moment and to tell all the bands, it's okay to lose competitions. Look at Scratch.
I have a great story for Bombay. Bombay, since our fans are all Bombay. So, we played Mood Indigo, IIT.
IIT Bombay.
IIT Bombay, Mood Indigo in 2008. Okay. We were shit. We were so shit that oh my God, we were really bad. Okay. But we played. We got last place. Okay. Out of 81. So we were the 81 bands played and we were 81st out of 81. Okay. And the guy who came second last was, I think, this is a story, I think, because Janu's band Slingshot, they were 80 out of 81. And then in 2016, so this happened in 2008. So 2016, 8 years later, we headlined Mood Indigo. So we were like, by the way, so there was a massive talk and there was this massive fight because something had happened during the competition and there was some, immediately, everybody was like, no, yeah, it was a rigged results. Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, this is why you don't play competitions. To like that entire crowd, and I said, this is why you don't play competitions. They suck. So it's like the judges, poor guys, man. You can't even blame the judges for bloody. How can they decide who's the best out of 81 bands? And in what capacity are you judging? In what have you done? Like, what does that even mean? The Led Zeppelin is a bad band. Is Led Zeppelin a bad band? They got critically ruined during the times they released albums, right?
Considering tightness, maybe stage
personality. You can't get tighter than John Bonham. Please keep quiet. He invented the damn thing. Just to get his drums to go loose, he put his drums inside of a stairwell. Okay, that one is like a easy thing. So you can't. I think bands should stop playing competitions after they've won that one competition, or they just shut up and just don't play competitions.
But like considering that, if they don't play competition, they don't have stage. Like you said, you go to a pub, they ask for covers. The bands are looking for originality. They want to get out their own music out.
Find a ground, rent equipment, put that thing into it. Like, see, that's how hustling works, right? You can complain saying, this thing, nothing is there. There is no way. There are so many bands. Control Alt Delete is something that started with the boys from Bangalore, Bombay. Bombay. They are insane. Like how they've pulled that off. They've pulled off so many years, and they've done it. We played that gig, and we were so proud to be a part of something like that. Because if you come and ask a big band, saying, "Dude, it's a pay what you want gig, and you get out of what you pay, what people pay for you." That's band putting their money where their mouth is. Saying that, give me gate charge, okay, cool, no problem. Because you've promoted it hard, you've played enough to get people to come to your show, right? Then you have, you're going to say, okay, the open mic night's happening. right? There are coffee shops that will give you a venue if you know someone. It's not like bands live under a rock and they just come out to play and go back under a rock, right? Everybody knows somebody. They have a flat association that would give them a space. Some uncle go and bloody crowdfund enough to buy equipment. Okay, screw it. How are you jamming? Take your jam room equipment, go sit in one bloody room, call 10 people and play.
Oh, there are jam rooms.
Who is stopping you? What is sofa sound? That only know. What is all of this? Like, you can't. There are no. The only competitions are the only things where we can get big stage. We only want to play big stage. I am sorry. You have to play all stages as a musician. Right? You have to play.
This is a valid point. Everyone wants to play on a big stage. There is some crowd. You want to head back.
With sound. You want to just land up at a show and play. Do you know that doesn't even happen for touring musicians abroad? Like, they have to pay for venue, they have to pay for sound, they have to pay for transporting the bloody rig everywhere. They have to travel on their own. They go to the venue and then they only get ticket sales. They have to get back the money on ticket and merch.
Wow.
Put that as a rule. Now here in India, you get flights, you get travel, you get stay, food, accommodation. It's actually great. It's actually a very easy life in India when it comes to musicians. That is if you get, but that's why all the indie musicians that are like all these guys who are doing singer-songwriter stuff, who are writing music, who is like sort of like half electronica, who are producing they are killing it now because of the fact that it's easy to just perform.
True.
You just need speakers. You need to speak on mixer on your own. You can go perform, and I love it because I like the fact that there's enough of that happening. For a rock band to play, the venue has to shell out a lot of money just for backline, right? If a DJ who's going to get a bigger crowd, one person can sort everything out and have a fully produced sound come out, it's just the best of all worlds. It actually makes a lot of sense. So bands have to like really push and say, if you want to be heard. When we didn't get paid till 2012, I think 2011.
6 years you didn't get paid.
2011. We have not been paid for a show.
Still, man, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 6 years.
Yeah, and we didn't win anything, so we didn't get that money also.
And you were traveling to Bombay and everywhere.
No, we couldn't travel because, so what did we do? We couldn't travel. We didn't really play anywhere. We only played in Chennai, all these small shows. We got all our paid shows will be like something in a mall. We'll get that for 5,000 rupees a day or something like that. You know, some stuff like that. But we only saw proper pay happen after we did In the Shed and Blue Frog and Bombay. The scene picked us up and said, please come play here. But if we didn't do In the Shed, that wouldn't have happened. So why did we do In the Shed? Thinking we'll get gigs? No, we did In the Shed because we didn't want to be, there were 2 other bands putting out an album at the same year. And we were like, if we don't want to put out an album, so we'll do In the Shed and put out 5 songs in that. So it'll be like an EP. And that's when we did that. And then we decided, so we saved, Samurai was supposed to be on it. Then we removed Samurai and said, no, we'll keep it on the second off. We need one more. We already had a tin can on this side. So we said, we'll use that for the album. When the album comes out, we'll put that out. So that is what probably helped us quite a bit. And playing quite a bit you have to play enough in all sorts of venues for you to, you don't know who's watching. You don't know who's going to pick you up and take you and when you're going to get a big break. So that's the thing. If you're going to only use competitions as an excuse for no venue, then you're wrong. There is no venue. There is venue. There are venues. Your room is a venue. There's somebody's school. If you're in school, tell me one school that won't give you the auditorium, give you one classroom.
They will give you
everything is available. You need to go find the correct people. Everybody has music there. So go and tell them, master, I got one band, I want to play one show. And then you get to play, I don't know, you can get to play in the lunch break, convince them. The whole point is the hustle. You need to hustle to get something to get. Okay, once you do that, you start putting out stuff. Now it's easy to record also.
True.
It's easy to record. It's easy to live. It's easy now. Back in the day when in 2012 itself we couldn't record probably. Right? We needed that big Mac. A laptop couldn't record a full band in 2010.
Now an
Only
iPad
now-
can do it.
Now an iPad, phone.
A phone can.
Everything is on. Yeah, an iPad can record a full band with DAW, which is fully this thing. Apdiye mix here itself and export and then send it. So it's possible. So I think the back in the day we played only because there was competitions, but we soon realized that that's not the way to do it.
That's true,
Because we
because
just-
in Mumbai there was a terrific band. We lost to them in the channel we launched by regionals, Mumbai regionals,
Yeah,
called What's in the Name. The band was
I
called
have
What's in the
the name.
You heard it? You heard the band?
We've from back in the day where there was a. I remember the band even existing.
The guy
Yeah.
with what a fun band.
Yeah. I remember that.
Band. But they vanished. Just like that.
Because some people would have left, they would have gone abroad.
They never played anything except competition.
Right.
I
So that's
they never knew how to get out.
yeah. And what is this? And also, how are you going to judge now? Okay, back in the day, metal rock there used to be, right, in competitions. Now what's happening? Now the rap artists. So there's what he doesn't come in your band competition. There is an electronic artist that's using backing tracks. Why he doesn't? They are not allowed to come in, but they are also musicians, right? They should be there. So how is this a battle of the bands anymore? It doesn't work. It doesn't really work that way. So I think finally, as a consensus, people should just play. If it's a band, people should play. If it's not a band, people should perform.
Just keep on doing.
Just go do
irrespective
it.
of the stage.
Keep doing it. Yeah. You never know what to do. The point is, you don't know what you want to do in your line. You will only do. Well, you will think something, but then you will want to. Like at the beginning, I remember I wanted to be this recording artist signed to a label and stuff like that. Now I'm just like, no, I want to just record enough so that I can. The gap between my live shows is filled. That's what it is. That's exactly what my feeling is like. I don't like that's it. You change, and that only happened because the immense happiness I've gotten from live shows. No recording is given. No, nothing. That nobody's. So I just decided that okay, that is not my scene anymore. I started off as just a guitarist, started singing because a show demanded it. Right? A show required it. So we go and do it. But if a show doesn't require it, if performing doesn't require it, then you'll never do it. You'll just do random things in your bedroom, which is also cool. But at least you should do it and release. That's the point.
Wow, man, wow.
Anyway, that was a great conversation.
Great conversation.
8 o'clock. It's been some hours and hours and hours of talking to you. you need to buy me beer next time.
You come
That's the
here, I will buy you anything you want. Any legal, and I'm not promising you.
Don't worry, Arnab uncle. I'm only asking for beer.
Okay. But definitely, do let me know when you come to Bombay. I'll love to meet you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Definitely.
Thank you for
Sign
being
out.
on my show. We're signing off with Ram Piti. I have one last task for you.
Okay.
You have to say like, share, and subscribe.
Slap like now, share right now, and subscribe to this channel. At the link below. Like, slap. From Davey 504.
Chalo, man. Thank you very much. Bye.